Well, don't high school on Tuesdays.
What?
I don't know, it's going on Tuesday, so it's a good day for me to come in.
Tuesday's my long day.
After the three,
Sunday's out
three
high school.
Astros, 321.
You bear a strong resemblance to my daughter, by the way.
I do.
Yes. From the profile, I thought you were her.
Oh.
So,
Surprise!
Lucky it didn't get you. Then I'd give you a hug.
Okay, so we're at that new section there by Madriga Shel Hasof. So what Reb Shlomo has been talking about, he's been talking about remembering and forgetting and the journey of life, the process of life, right? That while you're heading towards your goals, the fact is that we do make mistakes and we do mess up here, we do mess up there. But if you're going to constantly be thinking about the mistakes that you made and remembering the mistakes that you made, you might end up drowning in it and not getting to your destination. And so, but not that. But when you get to your destination, so to speak, once you get to the place of tikkun, to the place where you've achieved what you need to achieve, you got to look back and realize how each of those mistakes along the way were really part of the journey. Because it's through the mistakes that you always get to a deeper understanding of how to proceed. And this morning we were learning the Besmedrash next door, like when does the husband and wife, when do they really get to be really close to each other? When everything is just going smooth? No, it's when things when you on those rocky days, when things are not smooth, that's when you really get to go into a deeper aspect of the relationship. Right? When do parents and kids feel closest? So if the kid comes home every day with a perfect test score and things like that, so everything's nice and smooth and it's sweet. But it's when the kid comes home and feels broken from what happened in school, that's when you really have to be a lot closer. Right? So for those of you who are watching and might not be aware, today is a fast day, the 10th of Tevet. Welcome. Today's a fast day. And you know what happened today? You know why we're fasting today? You tell us.
Babylonians put a siege.
Today's the siege. Today's the day that the siege began. The siege on Yerushalayim. Yeah.
The beginning of the end.
The beginning that led to the destruction. Yeah.
Reb Shlomo, my puppy passed away on 1 week ago, last Tuesday. Could we just have her in mind?
Yeah, what's her name?
Fegadina Bat Mordechai Israel. Thank you.
Okay, במדרגה של הסוף, on the level of the end, השאלה איננה האם אני עושה נכון או לא נכון. The question isn't, am I doing right or wrong, אלא הרבה יותר עמוקה. The question is a lot deeper. חווה, כשאכלה מעץ הדעת, when Chava ate from the tree of knowledge, חשבה שהמדרגה הגבוהה ביותר היא להיות יודעי טוב ורע. She thought that the highest level that a person can achieve, that this is what led her into eating from the tree, she thought that it's all about knowing the difference between good and bad. לדעת מה נכון ומה לא, to know what's right and what's not. בתגובה, in response to that, Hashem אמר לה, God said to her, בעצב תלדי בנים, you're going to be raising your children with sadness. Klumar, so Reb Shlomo interprets it as follows: Im kachat choshevet, if that's the way you're thinking, if you're thinking that just in terms of good and bad, or right and wrong, tihiyeh lach ba'aya lahavi eladim, you're going to have a hard time with bringing children and raising them in the world. מפני שהקשר שלנו לילדים איננו מתקיים במדרגה של נכון ולא נכון. Because our connection with children does not exist on the level of what's right and what's not right. הוא מתקיים במדרגה של אחרית הימים, של משיח. Our relationship with our children is existent on, or exists on, the level of the end of days, the level of Mashiach. And on this level of Mashiach, השאלה של נכון ולא נכון, the question of right and not right, מפנה את הדרך לשאלה עמוקה יותר. It clears the road for a deeper question. האם אני מתקן את נשמתי? Am I fixing my soul? בסופו של דבר, זו התכלית שלנו בעולם. Ultimately, that is our ultimate purpose in the world. In other words, I used to give my parents a lot of nachas when I was a kid. She's laughing, and he's laughing. Who else is laughing?
Of course.
Right? Okay, so you have a kid that is making problems, right? And I made the mistake once of threatening a teacher in grade 9 on the night that there was a parents-teachers meeting. I came home, my parents were leaving the house. I said, "Where are you going?" They said, "We have a parents-teachers meeting." I said, "Oh my God."
They must have been happy when they came home.
I went to sleep early. My father didn't care. Anyway.
So it wasn't what you said, it was the timing.
The timing was bad, right? Exactly. I told you I don't have a calendar head. Anyway, so let's say your kid does something that's not right. That's upsetting. Okay, so of course things have to be corrected. But you ever hear parents say, "What did I do to deserve such a kid?" Of course, I mean, I've heard it said also when kids are exceptionally good. I've heard parents say, "What did I do to deserve such a precious child?" But I've also heard parents say, "What did I do to deserve such a monster," or something like that. So the deeper question is, in other words, was this right? Was this wrong? Yeah, that's important. But the deeper question is, what is the fixing of the soul that needs to be done as a result? In other words, it didn't just happen that you have such a child. You understand? It didn't just happen that you were in such a lousy relationship. It didn't just happen that your friend did something nasty or something like that. And yeah, what they did wasn't right. Granted, nobody's questioning that. But I need to ask myself, so what am I supposed to learn from this? What did I do wrong? You understand? And the answers could be so many different answers. There's so many different possibilities in different situations. But the fact is that it was orchestrated, Min Hashemayim, that you should have a relationship with this person. This is your kid. Understand? And the avodah is not to throw him out of the house. The avodah is to bring about a much deeper unity. Okay? ישנו סיפור נפלא ביותר על רבי דוד הקדוש לייקס, the holy Reb David Lakis. שרצה, he was a student of the Baal Shem Tov. שרצה להיות במשבוש עם רבו הבעל שם טוב הקדוש ביום כיפור. He wanted to be with his Rebbe for Yom Kippur. הוא מיהר כדי להגיע לשם בזמן, he was rushing to get there on time for Yom Kippur. אבל אחד הגלגלים בעגלה שלו נשבר בדרך, one of the wheels on the wagon broke, וכשתוקן הגלגל נפל הסוס, and when they fixed the wheel, the horse collapsed, והכל השתבש, everything was going wrong. בסופו של דבר, after all the obstacles along the way, כשהיה במרחק של שעה ממז'בוש, he was finally 1 hour away from Mezhebush. היה נראה שהוא יצליח להגיע בזמן, it looked like he can make it on time. אבל אז ראה לפתע 9 אנשים בצד הכביש, all of a sudden he sees 9 people standing on the road. הם התחננו אליו, they begged him, בבקשה עצור, please stop, אנחנו צריכים עוד יהודי אחד להשלים לנו מניין ביום כיפור. We need one more Yid to make the minyan for Yom Kippur. And these were villagers, and they would get together like once a year, they would make a minyan, and one of them didn't show up. So they begged him, please stay with us for Yom Kippur. Reb David אמר, השתגעתם? He said, are you crazy? אני נוסע כבר כמה שבועות כדי להיות עם רבי, הבעל שם טוב הקדוש. I'm already traveling a few weeks just to get to my Rebbe. אתם רוצים שעצור כאן, and you want me to stop over here? מרחק קצר ממז'בוש, so close to מז'בוש. נסו מישהו אחר, try to find somebody else. הוא המשיך בדרכו, he continued on his road. ולבסוף הגיע למז'בוש, he got to מז'בוש. אבל כשפגש את הבעל שם טוב, הרבי לא לחץ את ידו. But when he met the Baal Shem Tov, the Rebbe wouldn't shake hands with him. Reb David התחיל לעשות חשבון נפש, he started thinking, what did I do wrong? ועשה תשובה על כל עבירה שעלתה בדעתו, and he did tshuva for every sin that came up in his mind. הוא ממש בכה עליה, and ממש cried over it, אבל לזה לא עזר, it didn't help. הרבי אפילו לא הביט לעברו, the Rebbe wasn't even looking to him. הימים עברו והגיע שמיני עצרת, days went, and it was the last day of the holidays, שמיני עצרת. ועדיין הבעל שם טוב לא דיבר איתו אפילו מילה אחת. And all this time the Baal Shem Tov didn't speak with Reb David even one word. Reb David Lakis ממש בכה, so Reb David was ממש crying, בעל שם טוב הקדוש, בבקשה תגיד לי, מה החטא שלי? Please tell me, what is my transgression? אבל שם טוב אמר לו, ושם טוב said to him, אתה זוכר את 9 היהודים שעמדו בצד הכביש, התחננו לך שתהיה הסירי שלהם? You remember those 9 Jews who were begging you by the road to stay with them for Yom Kippur, so they can have a minyan? האם אתה יודע, are you aware, שהגעת לעולם הזה רק כדי להתפלל איתם? Are you aware that you came to this world just for that minyan? Your whole purpose, that is all the years of your life that you came into this world, was just for this one mitzvah. Baal Shem Tov said it's worth it for a soul to come to this world and live 70 years even to do just one favor to another Jew. Okay.
Does this really happen? A person is brought to this world for...
That's what the Baal Shem Tov says. You want to ask me or you want to ask the Baal Shem Tov?
Seeing as you're around.
Baal Shem Tov said yes.
Does that happen to ordinary people too?
Yeah. It's just that we don't, see, we value money, we value other stupid things. So we don't value a mitzvah properly. You know, like for neshama to come down to this world and do something that Hashem wants it to do, the neshama is tremendously excited.
Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful.
That's from where?
Lion King.
Okay. So she says, Ken, b'madriga shel nachon v'lo nachon, on the level of what's right and what's not right. Reb David lo asa shum ta'ot. He didn't do anything wrong. He was on his way to Mezhebush, right? He just didn't do them a favor. So it's not like he did something wrong, you know. It's not his fault that they didn't have a minion. The hefech hu tzadak b'ma shechashav, and in a certain sense he was right even, and in thinking, ani baderech leBaal Shem Tov, I'm on my way to the Baal Shem Tov, and yuchlu limtso mishu acher, they can find somebody else. Hu asa et hadavar hanachon, he made the right choice. אבל במדרגה של משיח, on the level of Mashiach, של אחרית הימים, של תיקון עולם, of the fixing of the world, the end of days, מה מועיל לו הצדק שלו? What good is it that he was right, if he didn't do what he was supposed to do? פעם אחת הגיעו שני אנשים על רבי ישראל מרוז'ן, once two Yidden came to the Rishner, הייתה להם מריבה, they were having an argument, a dispute. תוך כדי המריבה החל אחד מהם לצעוק. One of them started screaming, אני צודק, I'm right. רבי ישראל נהנה. So the Rishner said, ואמר, ייתכן שאתה צודק, maybe you are right. אבל משיח לא ידבר איתך, but Mashiach is not going to speak with you. כי המשיח איננו מעוניין באנשים שרק צודקים. Mashiach is not interested just in people who are just right. הרי אם ממילא כולם עושים את מה שנכון, מה צורך יש במשיח? If everybody is doing what's right, what do you need Mashiach for? Right? That's a good line. Right? ישנם אנשים רבים שאינם מחכים שיבוא משיח. There's a lot of people that aren't waiting for Mashiach to come. Why? מפני שהם חושבים שהם כל כך קדושים, because they think that they're so holy, שהם לא זקוקים לשום דבר. They think that they're so holy that they think they don't need anything. אני לא אוהב להגיד דברים שליליים, I don't want to say anything negative. אבל פעם התארחתי במלון הילטון, באישה אחת אמרה לי, so once I was at the Hilton, this woman said to me, אנחנו בארץ ישראל, we're living in Israel. She said to Reb Shlomo, במועדון בריאות של הילטון, we're in the health spa of the Hilton. מה עוד יש לבקש? What else could you ask for? לשם מה צריך משיח? What do you need Mashiach for? גם היא צדקת. She was also right. So what do I need Mashiach for? I'm living at the Hilton. הצדק איתה. She's right, אבל משיח לא ידבר איתה. But Mashiach is not going to talk with her. Okay.
But the Mashiach isn't just.
Forgive me, I have to stand. My back is hurting. Okay. What did you say?
The Mashiach isn't just to acknowledge somebody's rightness. The Mashiach is an entity unto itself.
Yeah. So what he's saying is, he's saying Mashiach. He says Mashiach will acknowledge that you were right, but he's not going to be talking with you. In other words, being right doesn't mean that you are achieving what you're supposed to be achieving. I met with somebody the other week in LA. He said that his Rebbe, Reb Shlomo, the Gemara says, "Hamotzi mechavero alav haraya." So, which means that if I say, "Hey, that's my shirt," I have to prove it. Alav haraya. Hamotzi mechavero. When you're coming to take something from somebody else, alav haraya, you have to bring the proof. So he said that Reb Shlomo used to say that in his yeshiva they used to say, "Hamotzi mechavero alav shalom." You know what that means? In other words, maybe you're right, but you're leaving the world, so to speak. You know, like, in other words,
But is it really important?
huh?
But is that what matters?
Is that it's you know, in other words, being right doesn't mean that you're living the way you're supposed to be living. In the Torah you have the mitzvah of kedoshim tihiyu, you should be holy. So how do you do the mitzvah of being holy? So there's an argument. Rashi says that if you keep the mitzvot and you stay away from arayot and things that are prohibited, you will end up being holy. The Ramban gives a whole lot of explanation based on the Talmud. He says that to be holy is kadesha tatzmacha b'masha mutar lecha. Make yourself holy with that which is permissible to you. In other words, I'll give you a simple, coarse example. There's nowhere in Shulchan Aruch that you're going to find that you're not allowed to use 4-letter words. But for sure, somebody who talks that way is not a holy person, right? It doesn't say anywhere that you're not allowed to be a glutton. There are people that they eat everything with strictly kosher, but they're a glutton. You know what means a glutton? That means that you're eating breakfast and you're already thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. You know, like what you're going to have for lunch, you already thought about yesterday. You know, but like the whole day, it's, you know, like 12, 13 years ago, I started, like, you know, even more. I travel a few times a year. So on the planes, I don't watch television over here, but on the planes, you see these shows, these movies. And I started seeing these food shows, you know. There was one food show they would have. Today you go on the plane, there's all these different food shows, you know, like it's become like a whole industry, food shows. And there was this guy, like, you know, like his whole thing is that he was traveling to all these different countries and eating all these different kinds of foods, like snakes and lizards and so on, and depending on what country he was in, you know, and he would interview the chefs and the people, and he would sit there and talk for 5 minutes as he was chewing the snake, telling you what it tastes like and so on and so on. And people like watch that, and that food show spawned a whole other bunch of food shows. Now they have competitions, like, you know, chef competitions, and they make it like a whole big thing, like, you know, like with judges. It's like, you know, like they have, like, you know, like these Israel knows how to sing, USA knows how to sing, so they do it. They do it in that way, like, you know, and they put up 2 master chefs against each other, and they give them a challenge, and then the judges eat it, and this
They even
and
have
that.
one just for cupcakes.
Just for cupcakes alone.
Yeah,
Just for
cupcake
cupcakes
wars.
alone. Okay? There's nothing that says that you're not allowed to do that. But is it holy? Is that, you know, so Kadesha Tasmacha b'masha mutar lecha, make yourself holy with that which is permissible. Okay? So you're allowed to eat and chew your food well. Right, this is a special message to Maria. She came in telling us about how she's been instructed to chew your food. Drink your solids and chew your liquids, right?
And don't talk with your mouth full.
Like, what? Don't talk in my mouth full.
He didn't say that you do, he just said don't. Future tense.
These 2 examples, where somebody yells, I'm right, Dad, or are selfish actions.
No, maybe the guy was right. You understand? It doesn't mean that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Okay? You understand? A lot of the last point, the last paragraph that he's mentioning is like actually just yesterday on Tablet magazine. I saw that somebody there's a photography show of this photographer took pictures of Jewish suburban life for the last 40 years. And a lot of people think, like, like I live in the suburbs. I got my 2-car garage and this and that and so on. So what else do I need? Back in Canada, the joke always was like, like what would happen if Mashiach would come in the middle of the last Stanley Cup game? That's the hockey finals. Can you imagine, like 5 minutes before the end of the game and Mashiach is here? Oh, who's gonna win the game? Right? I once remember when I was in university, there was one of our friends came back after the Seder during Chalamed Pesach. So we were talking about how was the Seder, and he was like, really, he was telling us that the Seder always used to be during the Stanley Cup finals. Stanley Cup is your parents are from Canada, so you should know. It's like the hockey, the hockey finals. And they used to have during the Seder because so they would take turns who's going to go watch the game so they can come back and report to the people sitting at the Seder what's happening at the game. Okay, Hatzloche. Bless you. See you tomorrow, Mr. Shem. With the bike.
With the bike up here.
Maybe.
Without disappointment.
Yeah.
Ends at 12 at 1.
Okay.
At 12:30. Ends at 12:30. I can hear you.
Okay. So that was the point of this whole lesson. Okay. Let's go on to something else. The next one is a really long one, so I don't know if I'm going to start that one.
You got 2 short ones.
Yeah, we got 2 short ones.
I have 3 short ones.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what we should do. Actually, you know what? I don't care, even if we don't finish it. Let's go on to page 323. Okay.
I have a question.
Have an easy rest of the fast. It should be meaningful. Yes.
How would there have been, for this example, like with him not being part of the minion?
Yeah.
Do you think was there any moment where he
Okay.
could have known that that's what he was supposed to do?
Okay. What?
So,
I'm sorry.
was there any moment where he could have done what he was more supposed to do and had intuition or insight into not being held by his rightness?
Was there any moment that he could have known that? That's a very good question. You want to elaborate on your question a little bit so that Yocheved can understand it?
I guess.
Do you understand the question?
No, I didn't.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't even see your expression on your face. I just said, yeah.
Well, I don't have the details so much in my mind of what happened in the strip,
So-
but I got the general idea.
Okay.
He leaves. He does his own thing, basically.
He went
Instead of
making the minion.
making the minion and doing a favor. So I'm wondering, like, in that moment, what could have tipped the balance of having the sense, like, and because then it's later shown that it wasn't, he did the right thing, but he wasn't doing
In other words,
sort of that crucial thing that he could have done. And how, when you're in it, like, how do you know?
How do you know what to do in the moment?
Yeah, basically, like,
so
and
that's one of Reb Shlomo's big teachings is all about knowing how to be in the moment, And his daughter Dari once told a story that she invited him to come and sing for her class. And she begged him. She said, "Please don't be late." Reb Shlomo was always late, so of course he was late. Okay, and she was upset with him. He didn't tell her why he was late, but later on in the day, this girl comes over to her and says, "You know, your father saved my life. I was kicked out of class, and your father was coming in to go to your class, and he saw that I was really, really hurt and upset. And he took a few minutes to stand and talk with me."
Mm.
Right? So most people would just see a kid was kicked out of class and they say, "Oh, troublemaker or whatever, and I got to go to the next class and, sit there and languish in your pain," right? And so Reb Shlomo very often, was always trying to emphasize that is teach yourself to be. It's true you have to have a schedule. It's true you have to know that there's winter and there's summer and there's spring and there's autumn and so on. In other words, kids need to have a house to sleep in, etc. All those things are very, very important. But you also need to know that sometimes when you're faced with something, you should stop for a moment and step out of your schedule and think which is more important right now. Okay, so here's Reb David Lakis. He's a really holy man. He was one of the top students of the Baal Shem Tov, right? And it was really important for him to be with his Rebbe for Yom Kippur, right? But here he was faced with 9 Jews who maybe got together just once a year for Yom Kippur, and they needed a minyan, right? So if you're not careful and you're thinking about yourself, you're going to make the wrong decision sometimes. Now, the truth of the matter is that this whole issue is actually a Mishnah in Pirkei Avot. Which Mishnah? Let's make it into a game. I'll give you a clue. It will cost you 10 points. No. Hillel said it. Wow, he's the winner. 47,000 points. Imein anili mili. Kishani la'atzmi mani. So here's the dilemma. If I'm not going to worry about myself and take care of myself, who's going to take care of me, right? The answer is probably no one, right? Ukishani la'atzmi, but if I'm thinking just about myself, ma'ani, what am I? These are rhetorical questions, right? What am I? If I'm just thinking about myself, so what am I? So there's the dilemma, right? On the one hand, you've got to take care of yourself and go after and pursue your goals and get your education and make your living and do all the things that you need to do for yourself, right? But if that's all that's motivating me, it's just my own self, everything is about me, right? Then ma'ani. So then what am I, right? Other than just being a self-centered, selfish person, right? So how do you resolve the dilemma? How do you know when to stop worrying about yourself and do something for somebody else? Or when you have to say to somebody else, when you have to tell someone, listen, enough, I got to go take care of my needs, right? So the answer is, Ve'im lo achshav matai. If not now, when? So one way to figure that out is, this is in chapter 1 of Ethics of the Fathers, okay? Ve'im lo achshav matai. If not now, when? In other words, this is sort of a simple answer, does this need to be done right now? Can it wait a little bit? Which of these two needs to be done right now? Right? Which of these two things are the most important for my soul? Right? Now, in certain cases, you're on your way to to some show or to some event, and along the way you see somebody that's stuck on the road, and they're standing there with their booster cables. It's getting dark and so on, and you're going to be late for the show if you're going to stop and give them a boost, right? Your father always would stop and give a boost. Huh? What? That's the kind of guy he was. And while the rest of you were sitting there in the back of the van, right?
Yep.
Abba, we got to get there. Right? And, so you got to say, okay, good. So maybe it's going to cost me 5 minutes of the show or whatever it is, right? But this person needs my help right now, right? Certain case, there's a famous story with, I think it was with the Belzer Rebbe or one of the Rebbes. He came to a certain town, and the people said to him, listen, we're having trouble raising money for a mikveh. We don't have a kosher mikveh for the women. And could you help us raise the money, So he said, let me tell you a story. This doctor was graduating from med school, and this was like a top medical school. And the way this school operated was that after you finished all the courses and you got your marks, there was one more test, a verbal test, person to person with the head of the medical department. So this guy was like a top student, and he's getting all the marks, top A, all the way through. Comes to his final exam, and if you didn't pass this final exam, you were, even though you did 4 years of perfect work, perfect school, you didn't get your degree. So he comes in for his test, and the examiner says to him, "You're on your way to a party, and you see somebody lying on the ground, like really bleeding badly. What are you going to do?" So he says, "Well, I'll take out my medical bag and take out a tourniquet, and I'll apply a tourniquet." How do you say tourniquet in Hebrew? Same thing, tourniquet. But you know what it is, yeah?
Yeah.
So the Rebbe says to him, "You don't have your medical bag." Huh?
Yeah.
What?
Or
So he says, "You don't have your medical bag." So he says, "Well, let me think." And the examiner says, "You have failed."
Take off his shirt or
He says, if you would really be a doctor, you would have ripped your shirt off and tied a tourniquet without thinking. Right? Okay. So, there are stories, like, there are situations where, what are you thinking about? You're from Canada. 30 years ago, approximately, he's in Vancouver. There was this Dr. Michael Klein. He was the head of family medicine at the Jewish General, and he did a study back then to try to figure out why did Canada 30 years ago, why was Canada having 14% C-sections? 14% of all the births were C-sections. And Canada was neck and neck with some other country. These were the two highest. And by the way, today in Israel and America, do you know what percentage it is? It's about 35%, 33 to 35%.
Sick.
Huh?
So sick.
It's very sick. It's business.
Yeah.
So one of his conclusions was that in Canada, socialized medicine, a doctor would be paid more for doing a C-section than he would get paid for doing a natural delivery. So there were doctors who figured, muscle tough, I can do 4 C-sections in an afternoon, easily, get paid a lot more, and I don't have to stand there 24 hours with a lady screaming in labor. That wasn't the only reason, obviously, that there was such a high, but that was one of the big reasons. And I spoke to him a couple of years ago. He now lives in Vancouver, so we've become friends. And so sometimes when I go to Vancouver, I try to give him a call. So he tells me that he just published another paper on the business of medicine. You know, that it's become big business. It's totally crazy. Like there was I was sitting in the dentist's office a couple of years ago, and I was reading a cover story on Time magazine. This big cardiologist who was actually one of Obama's advisors on medical insurance and so on. So he underwent heart surgery himself, and the bill for his heart surgery was $186,000. If you don't have insurance, you go into the poverty hole like immediately. $186,000. So he went and did a study to try to figure out why was it $186,000, and he was part of the system. And he compared with England, and he saw that it was where they have socialized medicine. He saw that England was doing the same procedures and treatments for a fraction of the cost. Okay, and his eyes opened up, and he saw like the awesome amount of abuse that's going on, financial abuse in the medical system. Okay. Now, why did I even tell you this story? Question is, because I told you the story about the doctor, right? What are you thinking about? Are you thinking about what's good for you, Mr. Doctor? Or are you thinking about what's good for the patient? Right? Why are you trying to convince the woman to have a C-section? Because it's more comfortable for you, because you're going to make some more money, right? So, getting back to your question, is it Hannah or Chava? Anna. Wow. Okay. Well, Hannah is usually Anna is usually the English name for Jewish women whose name was Hannah. They usually got the name Anna.
But I have a different Hebrew name.
Yeah, that's possible. I didn't say that not. What is your Hebrew name? Nechama. Nice. Okay. So do I have free choice at every moment? It's a good question. We have free choice, right? No, yeah, it's a good question. We want you to answer. Do we have free choice at all times?
I think that we're led to believe that we have free choice at all times.
But in reality, I want to know your answer, not what somebody told you to believe.
I believe that the choices that I make in a way are my free choice because I can choose my past, but at the end of the day, my paths are already written down. So free choice.
Now she's talking like somebody from the Moshav.
Well, I have free choice. I could say to myself, yes, I'm going to do this, or no, I'm not going to do this. But by not doing this or doing this, I've just opened up a new.
That's true. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing.
Turn curve.
Yeah.
So I do have a free choice, but at the same time, my free choice isn't, all roads lead to the same place.
It's not total, right? In other words, the bandwidth, yes.
We're put in situations sometimes where our choice is obvious. We can't say no to them.
So then that's a situation where you don't have free choice.
But you do have free choice.
Not really.
It's like the doctor. You have the choice to think for a second
so the question is this is what I'm getting to. That doctor in that story, right, where he says, let me think. I would say that he had free choice, but not at that moment. In other words, somewhere earlier on, whether it was that day or whether it was a week before or his lifestyle, he was living a lifestyle where he was the center of life. Okay. And when he was becoming a doctor, it was because he wanted to be a doctor. He wanted to be a doctor. He wanted to be I'm just making this up, okay? But so I'm being is that correct? Hyperbolic a little bit? Okay. Yeah, but I'm saying I'm going a little bit extreme over here, okay? And it's not that he wanted to be a doctor because he wanted to heal people. He wanted to be a doctor because he wanted that respect. He wanted that financial security. He wanted that wealth, etc. Okay, so he already had made a choice in the past that was very self-centered, and therefore his ability to make the right choice now was very badly affected. Okay, let's say, for example, you blew your top. You got angry at somebody, right? And then 2 hours later, somebody comes and says, hey, can you do me a favor? You're likely to what?
Say no.
You're likely to say, forget it, no. When you blew your top, you already lost your free choice. You understand? That in other words, so that's my answer to you.
But it's impossible to change that.
Yes, it is.
So therefore, you have a free choice again.
But not, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you might, maybe 5 minutes later, you can do tshuva. But the sometimes you do something and it creates, and this is what Noria, sorry, it creates a chain reaction of events. You made, it's like, what's the word in Hebrew? It's a makish echad lasheni, right? Like dominoes, right? You had the free choice to knock over one. Did you have the free choice to knock over the rest of them? Or not to knock over the rest of them? Like, let's say, for example, you didn't look ahead, right? And you didn't bother looking ahead, and you just knocked over one, right? But you've actually caused a whole chain reaction.
So you could choose later on. It just becomes a lot harder.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could do tshuva, right? But the tshuva can be very difficult. Okay. And in certain cases, if he didn't tear the shirt off his back and apply the tourniquet in time, it's too late. Right? So if you really think about it, if you look at the Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, right? Like the many times, like I get up in the morning and I say, okay, I'm a Jew. I got to go daven. I got to go put on tefillin. I got to put on my talis. I got to say Shema. I got to etc. Right? But the deeper aspect of all of this is, okay, so let's say I do it that way. So what am I doing? I'm covering myself. I've done what I was expected to do, right? But I'm not getting the full benefit of what this is really all about. What this is really all about is starting off your day in a way that you're going to have the right consciousness with you throughout the day, right? So if I mess up with something at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, it's very possible that, very likely, that I didn't make the right choices at 8 o'clock in the morning, right?
But if you're not aware of that, you're not aware of the fact that you started your day on the left foot.
If you're not aware, that's honest, okay? That's shogeg. There's something else if you're not aware. But if I know that the only way to really live my day properly is that in the morning I gotta take time to actually say Modeh Ani with kavanah, with thought.
Right, choice only happens in the area that you're conscious of.
That's right. So if I know that if I want to live my day the way I really want to live it, I got to do this in the morning. I got to do that, and it's all part of the process of achieving that. And I get up in the morning and I say, and I just rush through it, and I don't give it the time that I need to give it, and I don't chakras is over in 17 minutes or whatever it is. So I'm making choices that are going to affect the rest of the choices that I'm going to be making the rest of the day. Okay. So Shivan Besamika Jamaica Bayamayno Senko Gainam Sayasecha Shivan Besamika Jamaica Bayamayno Gainam Sayasecha Haya Shivan Besamika Jamaica Bayamayno Gainam Sayasecha Shivan Besamika Jamaica Bayamayno Gainam Sayasecha Shivan Besamika Jamaica Bayamayno Gainam Sayasecha Shivan Besamika Jamaica Bayamayno Gainam Sayasecha